What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. All right, so the title of this article says, quote, "That's ridiculous. Piers Morgan and Neil deGrasse Tyson throw down over transgender athletes and widespread hormone tests." Now, we've talked about Neil before. He seems to always be on the wrong side of history. Let's see what he has to say here. But before we play the clip, guys, please hit the like button down below. It really helps the channel out.
This brings me neatly, actually, to another part of that Bill Maher interview, which I really enjoyed. Love watching you on Bill Maher. But you had a little disagreement about this very hot potato issue about the science of trans athletes in women's sport. Let's take a look.
Engage with the idea here. What I'm asking is, Scientific American is saying basically that the reason why an WNBA team can't beat the Lakers is because of societal bias.
What you're saying is not Scientific American says that. An editor for Scientific American says that, who no longer has the job. So don't indict a 170-year-old magazine because somebody...
Okay, this is called Scientific American, and they're printing something
because someone enters the cesspool that is social media and then participates in that exchange. So
why can't you
let's talk about science.
Why can't you just say this is not scientific and Scientific American should do better?
Wow.
So I have been on this issue for a long time, and I am surprised, given your earlier statement just now about the importance that we have a fact-based society where science is based on reality and everything else. There is there not? I would put it to you, Neil. There is a cold, hard reality about this whole trans issue, which is that I'm sure like you, I absolutely want all trans people to have utter equality and fairness in the way that I do and you do. Absolutely. I've never said anything different. However, not to the point where it erodes women's rights to fairness and equality. And there is clearly a growing unfairness and inequality from the issue of people who are born biologically male, identifying as women and being allowed to compete against biological females, and then beginning increasingly to be quite dominant, to the extent where we saw people winning in the boxing in the Paris Olympics. We've seen the Footballer of the Year, Women's Footballer of the Year in the UK, voted by the BBC, Barbara Banda from Zambia, also has been banned for sex-related issues in terms of not being allowed to compete in previous tournaments, and so on and so on. The UN just had a big report which said that 900 medals around the world in competitive sport have been deprived from female athletes because trans athletes had won. So I put it to you that you're a scientist. It is clearly an indisputable scientific fact that biological males have a superior power and stamina and lung power and all these other things to biological females, because if they didn't, we would never separate the sexes in sport. The Olympics would be gender neutral, and they're not for a reason. Women wouldn't win anything. So when I hear you try and justify it or say that there's a scientific, and maybe there's not, maybe I'm misquoting you here, but there's some kind of scientific reason why it's fine, I'm like, hang on, Neil, you're Mr. Reality Check. You're Mr. Cold Hard Fact. Surely you can see that this is wrong without it actually having to be transphobic to say that.
Well, so you have me here live on your show. We don't have to comment on other shows. So let's just have this conversation.
Yeah.
So I did my own study of the relative speed of men relative to women in Olympic sports, the world records, from the 100 meters to the 200 meters, the 400, right on up to the marathon. And what I noticed is in every event, on average, men were 10% faster than women, 10% faster. And in events that require strength, that percent was even higher. I forgot what my exact number, it might have been 50% stronger, okay? So across the board, that is the case. So that's not, there's no dispute there. That's just objective truth. So now we have to ask, why do we watch sports at all, okay? And at Friday Night Lights, that's in the United States, that's high school football. Saturday, it's college football. Sunday, it's the NFL. Do you realize, of course, that the worst team ever in the NFL could wipe its ass with the best team ever in college. Why? Because every single player in the NFL was the best person in their college. And so there's no contest between these zones of athletic engagement. But we still like watching college. We don't watch college and say, you know, the Philadelphia Eagles could whip their ass, so let's not watch it. No, we like the equality of the contest and not knowing who would win. That's what makes sports fun. Okay, so if there's a wave of trans women who dominate the sport against other women, all those sports will become less interesting based on how we all watch sports. Even the Super Bowl here in the United States, if it's a blowout by halftime, nobody watches the second half.
Right.
We watch it for the equality of the contest. Okay, so
sounds like you agree
all
with me
I'm
then.
saying is, like you said, wait, I'm almost done. So what I see is sports is on the frontier of how to handle this frontier of people who are trans. It's on the frontier of how to resolve that. And I'm making this up now. Imagine the future of sports does not distinguish sex. It distinguishes and sorts people by hormone ratios. I'm making this up, but imagine that if that were the case. That would be interesting. You get a hormone test, you're in this range, and then you compete against other people with the same range of hormones.
That's ridiculous.
That's
Neil, that is ridiculous.
No, it's not. I'll tell you why it's not ridiculous.
You're going to give every single person in sport a hormone test.
Hold on. I used to wrestle. And wrestling, there are people who weigh, sorry, am I using pounds here, 125 pounds, right on up to 240 pounds. They don't wrestle each other. The entire sport separates people so that the contest is interesting.
Yeah.
And so the people of the same weight wrestle each other, and that is the contest.
But if Floyd Mayweather...
I don't know if that's how it will land.
Hang on, Neil. If Floyd Mayweather fought a woman boxer, a female woman boxer...
in the same weight class.
The same weight division, he would annihilate her. That's why we don't let it happen. And in fact, in the Paris Olympics, the winner of one of the women's boxing competitions, one of the
Piers,
females who took her on.
About.
But my point is that I just think that, if you don't mind me saying, I say this respectfully because I love you, but it just seems to me like you've dug yourself into a slight hole on this issue, and you're trying to get out of it. And now you're suggesting slightly madcap theories, whereas the science to me is obvious. You've already given the best argument I've heard for why we separate the sexes.
Hold on. You misquoted me in this very interview. What I said was the idea of creating categories within a sport, splitting them in the example I gave, which I just made it up, like hormone ratios, is not fundamentally weird compared to dividing wrestlers by weight.
No,
because
it is.
the only reason why you do this is to make an interesting contest.
No, Neil, you're wrong.
And so you said Floyd Mayweather fight. Hold on.
You're
wrong.
Said
Floyd Mayweather.
You're not allowing for
and
the superior male biology when it comes to lung capacity, stamina, to body mass, to muscle mass, all those things. If you just take one criteria of hormones, you're not allowing all that. I'll give an example. Caitlyn Jenner, who obviously... hang on. I'm going to finish my point. Let me finish my point. Caitlyn Jenner was an Olympic male decathlon gold medal winner. Caitlyn is a big golf fan. And when she started playing golf after she transitioned, she was allowed to play off the women's tees, which are 50 yards further than the men's tees. And she quickly realised that she was still smashing it 300 yards down, and obviously was then beating all the women that she played. So she now plays back off the male tees because her biology is that of a man. And I feel that was the most honest way to deal with it. I also feel that if you want to have a separate category, have a trans category. Or have trans women compete against men, which is their biology. Isn't that the scientific way to resolve this?
I don't have a solution. What I started this section of the conversation by saying that how you handle trans athletes is a frontier in sports that does not yet have a full solution. And I made up an example, like maybe you could divide people by hormones. I don't know if that would work
No.
physiologically, but at the end of the day, we watch sporting events because they are competitively interesting. And so something's going to have to get resolved there, and I don't have that solution.
I do. I do.
And
You
I
have
just
a
tossed up
you have a
hormones.
trans category, or you have the trans women compete against biological men, which is what they are. And I completely respect trans rights.
That may be, that may be how it settles, but I don't know. But I'm telling you, it's a frontier without a current solution that everybody agrees to. That's all I'm telling you. And I started this by affirming, yes, men are faster and stronger than the average man is stronger and faster. Too. World-class men are faster and stronger than world-class women. Obviously, there's huge overlap when you come down the rest of the distribution.
The truth is,
But
if you had a gender-neutral Olympics, how many women, biological female women, would win gold medals if it was open to men and women? The answer
You keep
is
going
the answer
into
is
the trench
literally
there,
like
and I'm
they
trying to
might
stay
win one
above
or
this.
two.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm trying to stay above. You're creating this world that makes great clickbait.
No, I'm not. Honestly, I'm
for
not.
people
No,
to
no.
see commented
No,
on.
no. I honestly,
Yes, yes, it is.
I'm throwing back at you the thing you throw back at other people, which is science. I'm telling you that it's the scientific reality, unless you say otherwise, and I don't think you do, because you've already explained that men have a superior
I'm not
speed
saying
and power.
otherwise. I
It's a
started this.
The science is clear
I
to me.
started this by saying it.
But the science is clear, isn't it?
And I'm saying the solution isn't clear, even if the science is. And so that's all. We can debate what could work. I think the world has to figure it out, and maybe they'll figure it out one day. And maybe it is hormone ratios. I don't know. But if it is hormone ratios and we don't compete sexes, we compete by hormones, that's a whole other interesting future of athletics. By the way, every Olympics, I pause and think to myself, which of these events can and should not be separated by sex?
Which
there
ones?
are some already that are
ones?
the case. And the equestrian. The equestrian does not separate men from
Equestrian
women.
and shooting, I think, also is another one where if they're sitting and shooting, there's no
That
reason.
I didn't know. Yeah. So I just figured there's some that would be the case. And we can start there and just work our way up. So yeah, it's a frontier. People are thinking about it. Top people are thinking about it. And I'm not going to be the one who'll have that solution.
Fair enough.
But at the end, I know when you're watching sports, you want to watch people who have equivalent talent compete. Otherwise, it's not interesting.
Well, you want it to be fair
know
and
this.
equal. That's why when there was
advertisers know this.
Yeah, but it's when you have the doping scandal in, say, cycling, because people are using drugs to cheat, it gives them an advantage. It's just wrong because it removes the basic premise of sport that you and I would love, which is it has to be fair and equal. And the moment you lose that,
Unless you just allowed everyone to dope, then it would be fair and equal again.
Well, yeah.
There's a lot of ways that can slice. Yeah.
you know what, in cycling, that's pretty much
Yeah.
what happened. I think I interviewed a guy once when I was at CNN who had been like number 42 in the world in cycling, and it turned out he may have been the best cyclist in the world because the other 41 were all cheats. So it may well have been the case. Let's turn to something less contentious.
Yeah, so that's it, guys. That's pretty much the end of the clip there. Let's get into the comment section. But hey, this guy is, once again, I've said this in the other video that we did with him and Bill Maher. He's not a real scientist. He's an entertainment scientist. He's a TV scientist. And, you know, he has to play the game here for him to remain on these platforms. So he's a grifter. First comment says, I'm just happy that the internet exists so that Neil's answer can be recorded forever and he will never be able to escape what he said. Yeah. And when Piers was like, you've dug yourself into a hole, the first rule to when you're in a hole is to stop digging. And he just keeps on digging. Someone says, I'm so embarrassed by the fact that I used to think Neil was intelligent. Yeah, me too. I actually used to love those little Cosmos series that he had. I think it was on Netflix. Loved it. But I lost respect now. Somebody says he's an activist, not a scientist. 100%. Taking a deep breath before I listen to this one. This is your brain on narcissism. Yeah. He's just basically getting clowned. Imagine a scientist telling another scientist to stop trying. Yeah. No. So let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Let's talk about it in the comment section. Hit the like button. It really helps the channel out. And of course, if you're brand new, consider and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.